I think it's time for a story, and I think it's a story you might know. This is a classic, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This version is retold and illustrated by James Marshall, and it is published by Dial Books for Young Readers. I bet you know who that is peeking in the door. Once there was a little girl called Goldilocks. "What a sweet child," said someone new in town. "That's what you think," said a neighbor. One morning, Goldilocks' mother sent her to buy muffins in the next village. "You must promise not to take the shortcut through the forest," she said. "I've heard that bears live there." "I promise," said Goldilocks. But to tell the truth, Goldilocks was one of those naughty little girls who did exactly what they please. Meanwhile, in a clearing deeper inside the forest, in a charming house all their own, a family of brown bears was sitting down to breakfast. "Patooey!" cried big old Papa Bear. "This porridge is scalding!" That means really hot. "I burnt my tongue." "I'm dying," cried Baby Bear. "Now really," said Mama Bear, who was of medium size, "that's quite enough." "I know," said Papa. "Why don't we go for a spin while the porridge is cooling?" "Excellent," said Mama Bear. So they got on their rusty old bicycle and off they went. Tra-la! Now, a few minutes later, Goldilocks arrived at the bear's house. She walked right in without even bothering to knock. On the dining room table were 3 inviting bowls of porridge. "Well, I don't mind if I do," said Goldilocks, helping herself to the biggest bowl. But the porridge in the biggest bowl was much too hot. "Patooey!" said Goldilocks, and she spat it out. Next, she tasted the porridge in the medium-sized bowl, but that porridge was much too cold. Then Goldilocks tasted the porridge in the little bowl, and it was just right. Neither too hot nor too cold. In fact, she liked it so much that she gobbled it all up. Feeling full and satisfied, Goldilocks thought it would be great fun to have a look around. Right away, she noticed a lot of coarse brown fur everywhere. They must have kitties," she said. In the parlor, there were 3 chairs. "I don't mind if I do," she said, climbing into the biggest one. But the biggest chair was much too hard, and, well, she just could not get comfortable. So next she sat in the medium-sized chair, but that chair was much too soft, and she thought she might never get out of it. Then Goldilocks sat in the little chair, and that was just right. Neither too hard nor too soft. In fact, she liked it so much that she rocked and rocked until the chair fell completely to pieces. Now, all that rocking left Goldilocks quite tuckered out. "I could take a little snooze," she said. So she went to look for a comfy place to nap. Upstairs, there were 3 beds. "I don't mind if I do," said Goldilocks, and she got into the biggest one. But the head of the biggest bed was much too high. Well, next she tried the medium-sized bed, but the head of that bed was much too low. Then Goldilocks tried the little bed, and it was, can you say it with me? Just right. And soon she was all nice and cozy and sound asleep. She did not hear the bears come back home. Well, the 3 bears were mighty hungry, but when they went in for breakfast, they could scarcely believe their eyes. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Papa Bear. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Mama Bear. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Baby Bear, "and eaten it all up." In the parlor, the three bears were in for another surprise. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair," said Papa Bear. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair," said Mama Bear. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair," said Baby Bear, "and broke it to smithereens." The three bears went upstairs on tiptoe, not knowing what they would discover. At first, everything seemed fine. But then, Papa Bear lay down on his big brass bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," he cried, and he was not amused. "Egads!" cried Mama Bear. "Somebody has been lying in my bed." "Oh, look!" cried Baby Bear. "Somebody has been lying in my bed, and she's still there." "Now see here," roared Papa Bear. Well, Goldilocks awoke with a start. Her eyes nearly popped out of her head, but before the bears could demand a proper explanation, Goldilocks was out of bed, out the window, and on her way home. "Who was that little girl?" asked Baby Bear. "I have no idea," said Mama Bear, "but I hope we never see her again." And you know, they never did. I think I like that story a lot because back when I was in kindergarten, Goldilocks and the Three Bears was our play, and I got to be Baby Bear. I think it was because I was the shortest one in the class. Well, shall we do a finger play that you all know about? Well, where was Goldilocks the last place? In bed. So can you get your beds ready? And we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have bears today instead of monkeys jumping on our bed. I've got 5 big bears who were jumping on the bed. One fell off and he bumped his head. So Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more big bears jumping on the bed." So hide one away. 4 big bears were jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. So Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more big bears jumping on the bed." So 3 big bears were jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. So Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more big bears jumping on the bed." So 2 big bears were jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. So Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more big bears jumping on the bed." So that left 1 big bear who was jumping on the bed. He fell off and he bumped his head. Well, Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more big bears jumping on the bed." So there are no more big bears. And I thought for our second story we could have another story that's going to sound familiar, but it's kind of a twisted tale because instead of 3 little pigs and a big bad wolf, we're going to have 3 little sharks. Whoops, 3 little fish and the big bad shark. 1, 2, 3, they're all there. This is a story by Ken Geist with pictures by Julie Gordon. And I think in order to find the publisher, it's by Cartwheel Books. Can you do a cartwheel? I can't. Oh, who is that? That's the big bad shark. Once upon a time, there lived a mama fish and her 3 little fish, Jim, Tim, and Kim. "It is now time," said the mama, "for each of you to make a home in the deep blue sea." So off they went. Now the first little fish named Jim swam away and met a seahorse splashing in some seaweed. "Can I have some of the seaweed so I can build a house?" Take as much as you can carry, said the seahorse. So Jim gathered the seaweed and made a weedy little house. Quite nice, don't you think? Well, Jim had just finished building his seaweed house when he heard the big, bad shark knocking at the door. Little fish, let me come in. And the little fish trembled and replied, not by the skin of my fin. Well, then I'll munch and I'll crunch and I'll smash your house in, roared the shark. So the big bad shark munched and he crunched and he ate up every bit of the seaweed house. And Jim swam away just in the nick of time. Now soon Jim found his brother Tim and said, don't worry, Jim, we'll stick together. You can help me build a sandy little house. So Jim and Tim had just started to relax in the sandy little house when the big bad shark came knocking at the door. Little fish, let me come in. To which the brave little fish replied, not by the skin of my fin. Then I'll munch and I'll crunch and I'll smash your house in, roared the shark. So the big bad shark munched and he crunched until he got a sandy mouthful, and then the house crumbled and Jim and Tim swam and swam until they reached their sister Kim. Kim was setting up her house in an old wooden ship. The big bad shark destroyed our houses, they told her. Don't worry, you can live with me, said Kim. And they did. The three little fish had just finished lunch when they heard the big bad shark knocking at their door. Little fish, let me come in. To which the little fish replied, not by the skin of my fin. Well, then I'll munch and I'll crunch and I'll smash your house in, roared the shark. And the big bad shark munched and crunched, but he could not smash the house in. And oh my goodness, all of his teeth fell out. And the three little fish were safe at last. And that shark, I guess, all he can eat now is seaweed. So those are our stories. I hope you enjoyed them. And we'll be back again with another story time. Next time, it's time for a story. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.